And there's no rain within the area we're talking here of Pendleton, right through Brooksville. Let me take this up in through here so I can show the other cities or small areas across there. So we're talking about a large area, you folks in Brooksville, hearing your sirens. If you're just dialing in and don't see any rain, it's because of this area of precipitation and winds that are heading for you. And you'll likely see it within the next 30 minutes as it holds together. And the winds that are situated with this, as we were looking a little bit earlier, are certainly pushing at least 60 miles an hour across this region. Now, it looks like some of the heaviest and strongest winds out of this system are south of Hayes. Let me give you a little spot here. This would be by State Highway 1053 and Blanket Creek Road. Frankly, doesn't mean a lot to me, probably not to a lot of you either, but for the folks from Morgan, Antioch, and McKinney's,burg, they know exactly where that is. Let's do a little spot here. It's obviously moved. You saw it jumped. Yeah, we've got winds to 72 miles an hour, so there's no question there are damaging winds across this region. And let me pull it in a little bit tighter here. And this would be, and it looks like a Highway 27 South. That is by Blanket Creek Road and Rankin Mill Drive. Those are some of the strongest winds. You folks in McKinney's,burg, do me a favor and take your tornado safe location. It's probably a good idea with these kind of winds. You could have some flying debris or anything along those lines. So don't go looking for the storm. Some of the things that we always talk about in our weather conferences are folks need to see it confirmed. Please don't wait for anything to be confirmed. We see it here on our Doppler that these winds are here. And every place, and let me just draw it in here. It's right there. Every place that I'm going to draw right through here especially has winds that are about 70 miles an hour or so. Okay, Grant and Pendleton, you are okay. The National Weather Service will expire this little back end of the warning here. Looks like, frankly, let me see what we have here in spotting some of those winds in case you've been in your tornado safe place. All right, you're definitely going to see some gusty winds, but it does not look severe. And let me check one other thing before I say you're all safe here. And where is that? There it is. Yeah, I mean, we don't have any shear going on back there or winds going in different directions. So the areas that are Grant and Pendleton are really safe from east of Falmouth. Listen, if you're in Falmouth right now and you're watching, I would stay in your tornado safe location. While Pendleton theoretically has been cleared from the warning, there's still some rotational properties going on here. The reason why I know that is you see these green and red, what we call gates. They look like small boxes. One is toward. That would be here in green. One is away. So what we end up seeing is, all right, hold on a second. We're looking at our radar picture, and our radar is situated up here in Claremont County, okay, up in Batavia. So what happens is it's analyzing that there are winds going toward and away the storm. So once you start drawing those in, you get a sense if these are, excuse me, these are going toward and these are going away, then you start to see how that rotation could very well be happening where within this area, or was until we got a little update on the radar. So as a result, now we're seeing this out by McKinney's,burg. You folks in McKinney's,burg should be in your tornado safe location. So again, not to overdo this, but right now there, right, and there. So you can see where there's a rotation going on, but it's really broad across that area. However, we are seeing, let me see what the gates say here, 41, starting to see, you'll see more green, less gray, right? If you were with us in the last few minutes. So there's a broad area of light rotation, moderate rotation. We start seeing these at 50 and 50. Well, we really have got something going on down there, and that's what we look for when we start analyzing how bad that situation is. But I would say across McKinney's,burg especially, stay in your safe location. This by Richland Road, Highway 27 South, up through 4 Oaks, you should be there. You folks in Browning Corner, make sure you're in your tornado safe location as well. We're talking about Bachelor's Rest. This is all moving to you now. Let's get a check on 1 second here. I want to check what the speed of the storm was, and then I can compute it into the radar here. Yeah, it's moving east at 55 miles an hour. So let's just check how fast and where this is going. I may have to widen out the map. I do. Hold on a minute. I don't have enough room here because it's moving so fast. That's better. I'll put on the reflectivity. You can see the rain. Folks are more accustomed to seeing this view, I think, and I can still do this right here. We'll break down the edge of the storm. Now we move it out to 55 miles an hour, which I can just about make. There we go. Okay, so here are your ETA times for areas. So Brooksville, you're talking about 10 o'clock, so you're talking, 12 minutes away. That's how fast the storm's moving, of course, and you'll see the rest of the ETA areas that could be affected by this line that what is in the tornado warned area. So as we look at it, you folks who aren't seeing any rain in Brooksville, I know in Bracken County, you're probably saying, yeah, right. Don't look for the storm. You know, this is coming your way, and we've already proven and shown to you how there are severe components outside, whether there's much rotation here or not. I'm going to leave this on here so that you can see it at the top of the screen, just to broaden things out so we can show anybody else who's dialing in at this point. You'll notice this very hard line that's showing across there. All across here, I would estimate winds are probably going at about 60 miles an hour in gusts, mind you. So that's from Warren County up here. Let's just take a quick check for everybody else who might be dialing in. Lebanon and Morrow and Goshen and Stone Lake and Batavia and Amelia, New Richmond and Moscow. And there is the update for you. Moving through Butler and Falmouth. All of that area likely seeing wind gusts pretty close to 60, certainly 50 to 55. Now, if it was 60, this would be all severe thunderstorms, but it is close enough to make sure you know that you're going to get rattled pretty good as this moves through. Here's the time frame of what we're looking at across the area. As we do, hold on 1 second. I'll make sure I got that right. Yes, I do. There's the storm for there. Here's your folks in Warren County and some of the ETA times, whether it's South Lebanon, Corwin, Waynesville, or Harveysburg. Then it starts moving up out of our area. There's also this other center of the storm that's heading into Claremont County. You'll see here New Richmond or Amelia as it moves in just after 10 o'clock or 10:17. So other than that, we still have a tornado warning out. As you look at it here across Pendleton and Bracken County. Now, according to National Weather Service, they had cleared Pendleton, but as I told you, I thought it was maybe a little premature because of that area that I see across Falmouth that continues to move off to the east at about 55 miles an hour. We're seeing general wind gusts at 60 miles an hour here and rain rates, as we showed you, to as much as 7 inches. So across that area, the key for you is not to drive anywhere around there. Now, we've just gotten a new severe thunderstorm warning. This core area is the one, as I mentioned to you, was the one that I was most concerned with. This other area, severe thunderstorm warning now out for Mount Olivet, so that's Robertson County, and also Mason County, and that will include Maysville. But you'll notice, I know you folks in Maysville, if you happen to be watching, we're talking about, goodness, let's just see here. I'm curious myself here. From the line of storms that'll make it to you, well, it's not that far away as the crow flies, 25 miles. So considering how fast this is moving, you're looking at about 30 minutes for this line to get to you, so it's not going to be long. Now, the key with this is we're staying with continuous coverage because the National Weather Service continues to leave on this tornado warning. We were seeing some rotational properties there across this area, and it now looks like there still is some broad rotation. The reason why I always look here, as long as you're watching, see this lighter shade of green, this brighter shade of red. That's the that's the highest form of rotation that's around. So we're looking at this going on in this area. So what is this area? Let's take a look at it. This area is right at Browning Corner, right up by Stump Road. It's over by McKinney'sburg Road. Let's see what the winds are doing in that area. In that area, we're seeing 45, we're seeing 37, we're seeing this broad rotation. So it's, let's just put this on and show you what kind of broad rotation we're looking at to give you, oops, I kind of lost track. Let me clear that and do that again. All right, move it over a little bit. So we're looking at a rotation that's like this. And so now if we get a sense of what the rotation is like, you're talking about almost a 7-mile wide rotation that's happening in the clouds. So you're not talking about this little tiny twist in the atmosphere that we sometimes get with funnel clouds that we have seen in video, or hopefully you haven't seen it in person. But if you have, you've seen there's almost one cloud just spinning around. Well, we're talking about a very dense and tight core that's rotating. This is a real giant air mass that's rotating in the atmosphere. So as long as it continues that way, we'll probably be okay. I noticed, and you probably did too, this got a little brighter. Let's just see if there's been any update to some of the winds. Yeah, see, you'll notice there's some wind gusts that are hitting up around that severe category. Otherwise, we're looking at winds that quite aren't. But this storm center is probably right here, leaving Browning Corner, heading toward Petra and also Powersville. You'll notice that this severe thunderstorm warning is out as well. It's now encasing the backside of Brooksville. It's interesting. The National Weather Service is now not going to extend the tornado warning. They're going to let this warning expire at 10:15 and the severe thunderstorm warning carry it at 10:30. I think what they're seeing is what we've been talking about, is the fact that there's just not as much rotational properties in this particular storm at this point to go ahead and extend that tornado warning. Quite frankly, it looks like it got extended quite fiercely over Brooksville, where maybe a severe thunderstorm warning might also have carried the day. But nevertheless, there is this going on, and I want everybody who is within this block that you see in red here, let me highlight it, make sure I got the tornado warning that just got cut down, you see, outside of Falmouth. Why? Because we're following that rotation like they are, that is situated now at Maddox, also Cheney Road, Stump Road. It's right about approaching Petra, or Petra, I guess it would probably be Petra, Powersville, Willow, Brooksville, all across that area, still in red, still in a tornado warning until 10:15. And then the severe thunderstorm warning will take over for you folks right here from Brooksville, Maysville, and Mount Olivet. Now, I'll tell you this, folks, as this storm moves across this red blocked area, we've been in continuous coverage. I think... Let's see here. Okay, yeah, what's happened is that's an update to remind me to show you this while we have this area here that we're following. I also want to back out the radar a little bit, show you the reflectivity. Remember, I was talking about the fact that these storms are likely producing wind gusts to 60 miles an hour, but they're not frequent. Right at the moment, this particular area here, that's going to stretch, and I'm going to see, let's see how fast this is moving. 56 miles an hour. Goodness. This portion of the storm that's heading up in through Warren and Clinton County, there's a little ETA update. I wanted to tag that so I could approximate the storm, how fast it's moving east-northeast, especially this area now that is so defined. But let's get a sense for you folks there in Claremont and Warren and Clinton and Brown and Highland and also Adams County, what we're talking about here. Let me guide this down to there. Stretch it out to 56. And there you go. There's your ETA estimates for places within that area. So now we're talking about Waynesville to the north. And then as we move down here by Georgetown at 10:11, Wilmington showing at 10:12, Russellville at 10:18. So this part of the storm, and there's likely some strong wind gusts. Okay, National Weather Service has continued this tornado warning for this area down through Brooksville and Maysville. So it is now tornado warning until 10:30 across that area. Let me go ahead and clear this screen off and show you that this is the tornado warning toward 10:30. So let's give you an idea across Augusta and Ripley and Georgetown and Maysville. You'll notice across that whole area there is hardly any rain in that region. In fact, there isn't much across Bracken County as well. You'll see Brooksville's just seeing some light rain. But right now, all across this area, certainly Brooksville and Augusta, you need to be in your tornado safe location. You're talking about these storms that are moving at 56 miles an hour that are, what, 6 miles away and 9 miles away for Augusta. For Georgetown, you're looking at 14. So keep in mind, these things are going to be on your doorstep in no time. So it's important now to go to your tornado safe location. Clearly, the National Weather Service wants to keep this active because they're seeing a lot of rotation within this almost 35 mile an hour stretch or so across that block. You'll notice, remember we were talking about some areas that are showing very close by with the winds that are going toward and away. We are seeing that. It's certainly likely that all of these gates are touching, even though we can't see them here. You'll notice just how close, let's say, for instance, this red little dot or gate that's here, it's likely all just matching up. But I don't see a real strong rotation couplet, meaning the strength of this is not there. It's still a very broad rotation. Not to say there isn't damaging winds across this area. There very well likely is. But when it comes to actual rotational winds, I'm not so sure that we're getting really, really strong rotation across this region. You'll notice how one side has 53 and the other one is mostly in the 20s, so we're not seeing a real strong rotation, but it is there. So as you look at it, this is the corner here. Let me take all these warnings off since you get a sense of what we're looking at. And I'm going to put the rainfall back on, and this is the rain that's falling across this region. Make sure my lightning indicator is on. And there's the counter. Not getting any lightning strikes across this area. You'll notice Hitville, Stonewall, Bridgeville, Abigail, Brooksville, Fernleaf. Where else across this region now? Powersville, we mentioned you folks before. Minerva, let's stretch it up here by Dover, Huntington Park. And you'll notice all the roads that are associated, Chatham and Gertrude, all your areas there, you need to be in your tornado safe location. Now, that's that area from Brookville stretching out into Brown County. You folks are in the game with this tornado warning. It's moving across the area. This is moving all across there at roughly, 50 miles an hour now as I look at some of the updates. Let's see, I'm just getting a little update in here from the Doppler, so just want to read it. It's capable of tornado near Brooksville, so that's that area we've been watching. That's right there. And now moving east at 60 miles an hour, according to the Doppler indicated. So let's get a little sense of just where everybody is going to be affected by this storm now that we know the intensity of it, and push it out to 60, which is going to just about make it. All right, I'm running off the screen here. Let's click it into 55. That will certainly be enough, and I can push that out. It's past the warning area anyway, but you'll see it's in Brooksville now. Moving to Augusta at 10:06. You folks in Ripley at 10:14. Russellville at 10:21. And Manchester, which is just off the screen, there it is now, that's at 10:26. So for all of these areas that you see from Georgetown to Russellville, down to Aberdeen, to Ripley, to Augusta, Brooksville, and all the places in between, you need to be in your tornado safe location. A lot of folks, let's just see, hold on, got a little update in here, don't want to miss it. Hold on one second. I got a call in, let's see what that says. The center reports tree blocking. Okay, this is from earlier in Bright. This is what happens is, of course, some of these storm reports come late. This was back at 8:50. There was a tree blocking because of the thunderstorm, Pleasant Road, Mount Pleasant Road in that area. Okay, so let's get back and show you what's going on and how we're going going on right at the moment here. So, as we look at it, you'll notice a tornado warning and that line, that strong line that we've been touting now for the really last couple of days was going to come through and bring us that strong and now severe weather, as we're finding out, all across what looks like Warren County and through Claremont, stretching down through Bracken and through Robertson County, just about to enter into what is Mason County. So let me take off all of the warnings, and I want to run this in the last 30 minutes so you can see actually how it's moving on a broad scale, and you can see the storm itself as it continues to push off to the east right now at about 60 miles an hour. So for you folks who are in Georgetown to Hillsborough to Maysville, you're going to see this system move in. And of course, for areas from Brooksville over to Maysville and portions of Brown County, we're talking about, of course, that tornado warning that is out and across the area right at the moment. All right, let me stop this down just for a second, put the warnings back on in a minute, but I want to dive in right here across this storm, get a little idea of an ETA for this portion by Moscow, heading in toward Mount Orab. You folks there, you'll notice by Mount Orab at 10:22. It's racing, this whole line. Remember, we talked about 60 miles an hour. Just this portion moving at 59, so it really does confirm well. Okay, hold on a second. Getting a report, Falmouth Airport, of a gust of 49 miles an hour out of that airport. So that just came in as a storm report. Speaking of which, let me just click these on, see if we got anything else here showing up. I just clicked on our storm reports. These are the ones that have lagged. This was earlier tonight in Decatur County up in Indiana. That moved into Franklin and caused some wind gusts you'll see across that area. It's not showing magnitude. It's just showing that there were some damage across there. Okay, so you get the idea, but that's the same line. That's why this line has been intensive for so long. It's just been a lot of juice within the atmosphere, and as a result, we're right sitting with a tornado warning, which most likely, let's take a look under this rainfall. It's been raining at about 7 inches an hour. Not that it's going to accumulate like that, but as we talked about, it's moving quickly, so it can't accumulate to that level. Just want to check one other thing here. Nope, not seeing any reports coming in. Looks like the broadest area and maybe some of the strongest winds are stretching from about Augusta, Brooksville, Germantown, Minerva, all across that area. So we're looking at here showing up like that. And let's just tag some of what's in there and see what kind of wind gusts we have. Yeah, it's a pretty strong winds going toward the radar. Now let's find them away. Okay, those are a little bit more substantial up here by Augusta and Gertrude, down through Brookville and down through that area, State Highway 10 and Hillsdale. Certainly some rotation there. See, here's the thing, and the tricky part of this is where it's working in reverse, so to speak, up here, let's say by Utopia, Augusta, where we're getting some wind gusts away from the radar that, as we were showing, are probably a little bit stronger in the 40s, but we're likely not seeing quite as strong winds, and they're in the 20s and 30s. So we've got a rotation kind of that's going on here, right there, as well as down below as well. So all of these areas, and oh, look at this. There you go. Now it's stretched up, and the National Weather Service has broadened the tornado warning, and it's stretched up right where we were talking about. So I guess we're working simpatico at present from here and there for some of the folks. So as we look at it, that line, here's the most intense line that's now stretching through Augusta. And where you see that, what we call gray ghost, I mentioned earlier a few minutes ago. If you're still with us, you know what it is. I'll just briefly say it's what's happening when the radar beam goes out, and then it doesn't get a chance to get back to the receiver, and so it bounces again against something else, and it says, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. And so it paints it as gray so that it doesn't give a false reading. And that way we know we don't get any false echoes across this area. It looks like really we're seeing in rotational properties. This is above the surface now. Let's see what's happening at the base. And you can see the stronger winds and the outflow, so to speak, speak. Let me show you something here. Here's the reflectivity. I'm going to draw a line on here, and this reflectivity stretches here. Now let's go to where the winds are pushing out, because keep in mind, as we do this, this is the edge of the rain, but the winds are flowing out of the clouds, right? So as you look at it, oh, I moved it. There it is right there. And then here are the winds that are coming out of that. So we're talking about very strong winds. And this may be one of the reasons why the National Weather Service, while we're not seeing hugely rotational winds, we have got strong downdrafts across this region. So let's analyze where those downdrafts are. I'm going to clear that off, and you can see that area. You folks in Ripley and Maysville. So this is why the Weather Service has decided to go with the tornado warning. You probably could hear in my voice that I was questioning where the rotation was for a tornado warning, but I think this is the reason why they're probably doing this. And I think probably a good idea in that instead of saying a severe thunderstorm warning, it highlights more folks going that they are concerned and worried that there's a tornado warning. Look at this one here, 113. So there are some powerful wind gusts happening at the surface out of these clouds. So what's going on is the rain's back here. And if we tip the map kind of like this, so we're looking at it this way, if you tipped it in a 3D, now you've got this area that's pushing all the winds out. So that's why they want everybody in their tornado safe location. So that's what's going on at present, and it's way out in advance. Now we've got actively 2 different tornado warnings going on. This one is set to expire at 10:15, but you folks in the Brooksville area, this storm, now let's make sure I'm right on that. Just maybe not. You're right on the edge of some of that rotation. Let's say Powersville, Bladeston, Berlin, Willow. If you're out by there, you're okay now. You can come out of your tornado safe location. But for you folks in Brooksville, Augusta, Ripley, Maysville, Georgetown, and anywhere in between, we're in an active tornado warning. And what's going on is the storm center is back here. The line is setting here. And let me get on this side. And it's just pushing the winds out like this, and as a result, we're seeing those 70, 80-mile-an-hour gusts that are now, see that white blocks that are in there? That's the indication that I know that that's the 70 and 80-mile-an-hour gusts. So they're just kind of reaching Maysville, because you'll see the kind of more white blocks, more lighter colors that then stretch up by Ripley and kind of wrap around. That's some of that broad rotation that's happening here. So this lineup, this outflow, these downdrafts, they're right in through Ripley now and will continue to push across this area. So it's very important that if you're in this block to make sure that you're definitely in your tornado safe location at this juncture. You'll see right now Russellville not quite in the soup of those very strong wind gusts at the surface. As we look here, we are seeing some stronger wind gusts in this rotation, almost giving me pause to say it's gaining some strength here. I think if I touch this one, there you go, or touch that one, there you go, that one. So we're seeing a lot of winds that are clearly even up off of the surface. That's what we're looking at right here, that are very strong. Still, though, the other side of the picture, so to speak, that other going away from the radar. So again, just it goes like this, goes like that. So then the center of that rotation, that broad rotation, is in here. But nevertheless, we're already showing that that outflow from that system is causing some very strong winds across this region. Yeah, let's just give you a little reset and understanding as to what's going on. We're in an active tornado warning until 10:30 and have been in one here. Corey, when did we first go on? Okay, yeah, we've been on for a while. This line's been moving all across most of northern Kentucky, a lot of which turned into a tornado warning. That's why if you're just dialing in here or have been with us for the last few minutes, we're in continuous coverage until 10:30 when this tornado warning ends. As it approaches Brown County, we'll see if it gets extended for you folks in Adams County. Now, for the rest of the tri-state, just to take a moment to show you what's going on, there's some intense rain and still likely some strong thunderstorms across the area. Okay, good news here. The National Weather Service is expiring the Bracken County tornado warning. That's this one here, I think, this first one here that's across Bracken County. We had talked about how it was pretty much over for most of the area. So that's good news. Now to go back to the update, I want to show you what's happening here across the entire tri-state. So here we are, there's Cincinnati, and as we move out to the southeast, here's the active tornado warning till 10:30. It's stretching across portions of Bracken County, across Brown County, and also Mason County. You folks in Maysville are about to get hit, also in Georgetown. The wind gusts out of these storms are being pushed out to about 70, 80 miles an hour in gusts. Now, these are small areas, but nevertheless, they are wind gusts across this region. Updates tornado warning. Yes, I know that. Thank you very much. And just hold on. Updates. Continues Mason. Cancels Bracken. Yes. Okay, fine. Now, for the rest of the tri-state, you'll notice the torrential rain that's coming down right now on our radar. It's just entering into Butler and also Hamilton County. For that matter, while it's raining hard in Brown County, you've got some more heavier rain out here. One of the next things that may very well be happening to our night here is starting to see some flood advisories, because this is a big area and it's going to start moving across at a much slower rate. This is the outflow from the system that has. What happens is these storms flow out in front of the cold front itself. Now, this is likely the cold front here, and then it pushes across and still brings us a whole lot of rain. I noticed we had an update from our active tornado warning, so let's get a little update here. This hasn't, let me show you this here. This one here over Brooksville just hasn't fallen off the screen yet. This is the one that matters because you'll notice where that line is. So you folks in Georgetown, through Ripley and over by Maysville shortly, you'll be affected by this active tornado warning until 10:30. So as we look at some of the base velocity, let's see where it stands. Remember, we were talking about some of that base velocity being over Ripley, and now I think you can see it there as we do a little weather 101. Here it is here, all across that kind of white shaded area. That's the most intense wind that's happening here. As we kind of click on it, oops, sorry, hold on, got the wrong tool. There we go. All right. So we've got 70 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour wind gusts across this area. So you folks in Maysville now seeing these stronger wind gusts. Russellville, you're just underneath some of the strongest wind gusts, still showing some pretty strong winds, but clearly not as strong. But let me tell you this, keep in mind what we're looking at. These winds are going to rotate. How do I put this? Let's do it on the map here. These winds, of course, are rotating, right? Okay, because we're getting this toward the radar. Okay, so they're going to be coming up like this. So we should very well see some stronger wind gusts through Russellville here shortly. And then that rotation continues back past Ripley and over by Augusta. All right, so let's see, they're getting a little stronger up by Russellville there. Not sure why this isn't falling off. It should, because it's already been canceled. Let's get back to the reflectivity, show you this strong line that's out here. Getting a couple of skits put on the map. All right, and let's take a look at, this is the center of this storm. So for you folks in Mount Orab, this area will be up by you by 10:23, but clearly some of those wind gusts are going to be to you much sooner. Okay, got a new severe thunderstorm warning that's out. I know it's getting really messy on the map, so let me try and clear away some of this and push it out so you can see it better. Okay, so the National Weather Service right at present now has extended out the severe thunderstorm warning that's right here in Adams County, and also a sliver of Brown. We also have that showing up in Mason County as well till 10:30, and this one is going to be right up to 11 o'clock. Now, once we drop this tornado warning, we're going to send you back to programming. I want you folks, now that it's a severe thunderstorm warning, I want to make sure that you folks know that we're still going to see some very strong winds that could be damaging. But they're coming in gusts. It's different from a rotational system that could very well be producing those continuous winds in that circulation area. That's why we go into continuous coverage with a tornado warning. I guess I don't have to tell you why really, but I just want to let you know that when we release here and just go ahead and go back to programming for this severe thunderstorm warning, I want to let you folks know why we're doing it. You'll also notice here we look like we're getting a little breakup down there. Let's see what's going on. That might be some pretty good news for the folks in Maysville, but let's see. You know, this is, again, you can't tell everything from reflectivity. We call this reflectivity when we see the rain. What's better is to go within the storm, and we are seeing some rotational properties here. You'll see by Moranburg and Dover and Ripley and Aberdeen and Ellsbury and Maysville. See how much wider this gap here is. Not as much rotation probably showing. And okay, so let's take a look at some other products here because I want to see what the storm's doing. We're still getting some pretty good shear, strong shear, in fact, across this storm, but not at present. This is why this got extended. See that little red that's in here showing a strong path of shear. If we look back, you'll notice that every once in a while we saw that red with this area that has been highlighted with a tornado warning. Interestingly enough, we're seeing a lot of shear that's coming up here by this area by Midland and Fayetteville. So there's a lot of shear in the atmosphere there, but we're not getting the rotation. Those are the two main elements of what produces that tornadoes or anything that rotation properties that we look for before a tornado. Now, as we look at the other aspects, yeah, we're showing some pretty good wind gusts across here now. Let me tag these for you. You'll notice by Georgetown, we're getting 70 and 70. No surprise here. This is pretty much what we've been seeing. So it's a pretty strong line across this area now that's pushing out to the east. Maybe that would be the best next thing to do for folks there. Let's show you a little ETA understanding. Also looks like, let me check one other thing here. I got to check, where's the hail? There it is. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like. It looks like some hail's falling, but not reaching the ground. Not getting, where's the swath? There was some hail back here, and there's some, you'll see where the little pink is. I think you can see it. There's been some in Claremont County. It was down by Amelia, New Richmond, Morrow, Clarksville. They've seen some hail across that area. That's our dual pole radar, and that is more precise than regular radar. All right, so let's see here. I think probably let's get some ETA going here to give you an idea of where this area that is left within the tornado warned spot. And as long as we're doing this, let me get a speed on some of this. Still at about 60. All right. Let's really bring you guys up to date on where that stands while we continue in an active tornado warning. Let's push that there so that's always on the screen. Now let's get a little idea of what's happening. And I said 60, right? There it is. Okay, so here's our ETA for this line. And so it goes from Russellville, where it is located now, Maurystown, Jamestown, to Sabina, Winchester, Hillsborough. You folks are in the game now with this very strong storm, likely not necessarily severe, but it'll throw some winds your way at 50 or 55. Also, Seaman. You'll notice for folks who are in West Union, Jeffersonville, Peebles, you're talking about 10:30-ish or so for this storm to reach you. Now, the edge of the storm, in fact, why don't we do that for the folks who are actively in that warning, and we'll get a sense of timing for just this doorway here. And pull it out to 60. There we go. Okay. So as we look at it, move it over there so you can see it better. So there's your timeline, your ETA for what we're looking at for that storm that is within a tornado warned area, and likely this area up by Mount Arab, and I'll check that in a minute. Also seeing some gusts to 60 miles an hour, maybe not as frequent, and that's why it's not under a severe thunderstorm warning. So this, what we look at right here, we're under a tornado warning. That's your ETA time that we're seeing right now. We continue to see this moving to Peebles then at 10:41. So we're looking at just about 20 minutes away for that line, which is located right here to make it out here. So we'll see if this gets extended, but the fact that they encompassed it with a severe thunderstorm warning would lead you to believe they won't do that. We'll see in a moment if they just wait for this line to move through that tornado warned area. One of the things that you'll notice, some of the reflectivity, meaning rainfall, is not falling as hard across this region. You'll see that's an indicator that perhaps that storm is diminishing. Not a chief one, but it is one that we sometimes look for. Let's get and clear this off the screen. Push this out a little bit, just as an update to everybody else who may be tuning in for whatever reason. You'll notice there is an active tornado warning showing across Brown County right now and stretching into a portion of Mason County, although I'll show you this. I'm pretty sure, let's see, Maysville, you may not be out of the woods, but if you're back by Fernleaf, Minerva, Dover, let's take a look at the storm here. Yeah, you're fine. Minerva, Fernleaf, Dover, Ripley, you're sort of still in some rotation. So we're looking at Moranville as well. You're fine. If you've been in your tornado safe location, you're okay right now. There's still some rotation by Ripley stretching down by about Maysville. It's close for you in Moranville, so it might be wisest to stay in your tornado safe location. It's not going to be but a few minutes more and this rotation will be by you. In fact, all of this is going to be moving right into Adams County here quickly and shortly as we see it continuing along that route. Now, the other factor here is some of the rainfall that's happening across the tri-state right now. I'm going to see what the 1 hour rainfall is doing and get a quick sense of how much rain we've seen in the last hour. Okay, so let's tag some of this area here, this green shade there. There's been 1 inch. There's been 3/4, 3/4. This is just, folks, in the last hour. So we're talking about some pretty heavy rain here. I'm wondering if we don't have some minor flooding in spots where you see at least the green spots, and we can dive in there a little bit better. I say that because there's not going to be as many storm reports out tonight because a lot of folks, oh, there's the update for you, are out tonight knowing it was supposed to be a potential for severe weather. All right, let's see here. Okay, that's something. Let's hope. Severe thunderstorm warning for Adams. I think they have, let's see here. Yeah, they're noting that they're going to continue the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see, this is out until 10:30, so we've got 6 minutes. They're going to maintain this warning until 11. There's been 3/4 inch hail with this storm that is a severe thunderstorm warning. We've, of course, as we've already established, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts or better across this region. Right now, in the last hour, obviously the rainfall gauge hasn't kept up just yet. That will increase all of a sudden as time wears on. But generally, we're looking at 3/4 in spots where those real heavy storms came in, right here on the east side, stretching down through Kenton County, and then over here in southeast Indiana. So all these light blue areas are talking about 3/4 of an inch, and technically that's the potential for flash flooding across those regions. So just be careful. Cold Springs, Taylor Mill, Latonia, Independence, if you're just maybe getting up to work that third shift, God bless you. Or over in Milan, Dillsboro, and on the other side of Versailles. There could be some water problems there, so just keep that in mind. We continue to see intense rain. You know yourself that when you see that red, it's coming down in buckets. So we're going to continue to pick up this rain. You can see the difference of how the line has moved through, right? That almost straight vertical area, as opposed to just this kind of amoebic form that's back here in southeast Indiana and then stretching into Cincinnati and Westchester and Middletown. Let's get a little sense as to how this is moving. I'm going to put the 1 hour on here, so this will show you 1 hour of rainfall. Let me take the warnings off of here and you'll get a better, there's that line for you folks who are under the gun, but you'll also notice something else about that line. Do you see it diminishing as it moves, at least in reflectivity? And we've also seen that overall in the intensity of the storm. For the most part, although you'll notice up here by Wilmington and Hillsborough, it's still holding together very well. Back up in here, watch all this very red shade here, a lot of it, and it is fading out, but nevertheless, still a lot of rain. It's going to push up through Franklin County, Butler County, the west side of Cincinnati certainly as well. Now let's bring you up to date, give you a little update as to where our friends stand who are in the active tornado warning. This is out until 10:30, so we're waiting for this to be expired, and then so in the next 4 minutes or so we should see this expire, unless there's some other properties that I don't see that the Weather Service could be seeing. Train Spotter says 2 to 4 inch limbs are down in the Loveland area up in Claremont County. Let's take a little check up here by Loveland and see what the winds have done up through that area. Here's Loveland, so 2 to 4 inch limbs up through Loveland here. Now let's take a look at some of that base velocity. I want to set it up over the last hour, and let's see if we see some of those higher wind gusts. Okay, nothing too terribly. So 50-mile-an-hour winds. I know that from the blocks that are flying by. So that's pretty much what we've been seeing. And you notice too, there's probably some strong winds out here by Versailles. Could be 60-mile-an-hour gusts out there. Something to think about for you folks that are out that way. We continue to look at this area here that's by Russellville, stretching out by what is, let's bring it up here, what would be State Route 125 and County Highway 77. As we look at County Highway 36, all of those areas, this is likely the spot where we're seeing some of the strongest winds sit as we have it for you right now. And that's about right. Here is the, as we talked about, the winds going toward and away the radar, showing some rotational properties across that area. Not seeing any now stretching down through except this little corner. You'll see that there's red and green across here from Maurystown down just to the other side of Russellville. So this is the area where rotation is happening. This tornado warning could very well be stretched up through here in Maurystown. So all you folks there across that area, I would stay in your tornado safe location, Winchester, all of these areas that are within this stretch. We continue to see this out through 10:30, so it's only going to be another couple of minutes. And at 10:30, we will send you back to programming. But I want to also highlight as we do that, because I think that's going to happen here shortly, where we're going to hear the sounder go off and they'll cancel or let expire, I should say, the tornado warning. But for you folks in Peebles, in West Union, under the gun with some 60, 70-mile-an-hour gusts, I think, out that way. In fact, I'll go ahead and tag those just to prove my point. Oh, wow, there's one at 82. Keep in mind, these are individual gusts. That doesn't mean there's a line of 82-mile-an-hour winds. This thing is, you know, blowing out this real quick and boo-doo-doo-doo and all of that. So that's a technical term, by the way. Don't use that unless you can do boo-doo-doo-doo. So all of this line across this area, that's pushing out there. So I want to say that for West Union and Peebles and anybody else across that area, smaller town areas that might live in these small areas or less populated spots of Adams County. There's a few right here, whether it's Fawcett or Lynx or Blue Creek. All you folks here in portions of eastern Adams County, you're going to see some pretty strong wind gusts. And just know that that's on your way right now. As we look at Ripley And Maysville, you're still just on the edge of maybe some rotation, but it's looking really good. I couldn't imagine the Weather Service extending this warning out. And frankly, if they did, I'd question them on it, with the exception of what might be happening up here. If they were to shoot this up this way by Winchester, there's still some pretty good rotation up that way, just a little bit anyway. Certainly right north of Winchester here, huh? It's not really strong, but the rotation is there. It's very broad, very weak, so it's not terrible. Okay, and there it is. We hit 10:30, and the warning has expired. So let's just recap right here where we are now. So there's a severe thunderstorm warning until 11 o'clock. This area right here, bright, is going to continue to move off to Adams County, down through here as well. So you'll see some very strong wind gusts as that moves through, and it'll be gone in the next 30 minutes. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be long. So it's been a stretch, but there you have it. Mother Nature produces what we were expecting, and that is some severe thunderstorms that in fact acted as a tornado warning. We never had anything confirmed. These were the possibility of the kind of storms that could produce a tornado at any time. That's your wrap up. We're going to see you in 30 minutes for all the forecast news about what happens for the rest of the overnight, and we'll be back with all your news of the day at 11.
Come on, lover boy.
Here we go. Here we go.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're about to get it back with this.
Thank you. Catherine? Yeah? You ready? Huh?
Born ready, Eduardo. Let's do this. I am also ready. Dad, I need you to apologize to Mom.
I will absolutely not apologize to her. She should apologize to me and to you. I mean, this was not some stranger. This was her brother. She knew, and she didn't protect you.
Dad, that's just it. She didn't know.
She said he did it to her, too.
She blocked it out.
I know what she's trying to make you believe, but you don't just forget something like that.
Dad, do you know how old Mom was when Neil first did that to her? She was 7. She couldn't protect herself. So her subconscious did the only thing it could to protect her. It erased it from her